We gathered you here today because we want to discuss the family will.
I shot the house.
Why would you even want to live in your childhood home?
It's not about that. It's about the property value and the locked-in interest rates.
Nobody gets the house. Nobody.
We are talking about the state as a whole.
Are you sick? Do you have cancer?
Dad, is it cancer?
What type of cancer?
Wait, which one of you has cancer?
I get it.
All those carcinogens I told you, okay? Diet Coke is not actually
Everybody,
diet.
please stop!
Just tell me.
Quiet.
I don't know if I would call our house an estate.
It's the terminology.
Okay, whatever.
Go ahead, Ellie. Just tell. It's a clever conceit.
Okay. It was something I did a while ago. I co-directed it's a truncated short remake of the movie Annie Hall starring old people. I did it in my 20s. Co-director Matt Starr, we did it together, and it was just this crazy project from a long time ago. So, and the way that it happened was we were working with we wanted to recreate a classic film with senior citizens, and they voted for Annie Hall, and that was when we picked. It was a tie between that and Singing in the Rain, and it was
Who voted?
We were teaching a cinema class it was like it was called interpretive cinema, and we were working with senior citizens on the Upper East Side.
Interpretive cinema, love that.
Yeah, this was a long time ago.
It's a nice aspect of doing something so specific like this, where over many years, where you just there's so many connections, of all the guests, the thousands of people that I assume that I've kept a record of it, but I couldn't tell you how many people have been on this thing. But I'm starting to wind it down. It's just a little, unfortunately, but it's always been about Filmwax is always a podcast has always been about championing the independent film, essentially. That's what I started it back in 2011. So thanks for everybody for coming on here. Morgan, thanks for reaching out to me. Nice running into you and meeting you at the film festival. And so let's start off here. Like, Scott's here, Ellie's here. So why don't you talk about like how you ended up casting these people in Fire at Will, which is the name of the film, which premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival last year, and was just at the Berkshires Film Festival recently, and maybe other festivals. You can tell me, but talk first about like these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having us, and we're glad to get in here before you start to wind down. Yeah, so I guess to dive right in, big picture, Fire at Will is about a dysfunctional family who tries to settle their will. It was based on a real life event that happened when my parents decided to gather my siblings and I together to discuss the will. I'm a triplet, and the youngest by 2 minutes, and they decided to appoint my sister and brother as executors, leaving me out of the equation as the artist of the family. So that's just big picture for anyone listening who hasn't seen the film. But so casting was a real journey for this. We wanted to cast a family that looked alike physically, but also really linked energetically. It's really just a big pet peeve of mine when we watch films and the family just doesn't look related and you just don't believe it. So we really went through the depths of finding the right people for casting. And everyone came about in a slightly different way. Ellie, I had seen Ellie's short film, Proof of Concept, which I think was not even out at the time, Ellie. But one of my good friends was an executive producer in that film and was like, hey, I know the perfect person for this role. So saw that film and I was like, done, check. And Ellie came on board and was just really generous with her time and her energy. And then for the role of the parents, we ended up working with a casting director, Leslie Wolf, And I think, Scott, your name came through a couple different directions. We were working with our casting director, but also you had worked on another film, The Feeling That the Time for Doing Something Has Passed, that one of our other producers had, she was a producer on. So she was familiar with your work in the film. And so it just kind of came from like a couple different sources. And we ended up it's an ensemble cast of 6 people, so we ended up doing some chemistry reads, brought in a few different people and made sure that everyone really felt like a family and could argue and bicker and give
Bicker
it that
convincingly.
energy that it needed. Yeah.
Do you actually bring in people and then tell them after sorry, can't use you?
I mean,
Name and give their names if you don't mind.
yeah, right. No, I mean, I think it's a normal part of the audition process is to do chemistry reads. Hopefully you don't do it with too many people because I want to be really cognizant of people's time and energy. But I do think that it is, I don't know, you guys are the actors. You tell me. I think that's a
Yeah.
normal part of the process, especially when you're a little bit further down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's normal is a strange word. I mean, it happens. So I mean, you don't necessarily want it to happen where you're the one that's not chosen, but it happens for sure. And I mean, I think that I think it's important, especially on a project like this where chemistry was ultra important. And when you know somebody or you think you know somebody and you want them in your project, and you think they're going to be fantastic, that doesn't mean that they're going to kind of get along with everybody else or feed off of everybody else, and that becomes an issue. So I applaud Morgan for actually going that route, which is really trying to combine people and seeing if it all works out. And hopefully people everybody has an ego, but hopefully you have a little less of an ego where you can say, okay, I get it, it's all good, let me move on. But it is important, especially for a project like this.
Yeah.
And for the record, we're not mass auditioning people for the chemistry read. Usually it comes down to like 2 people, and almost always it's a hard decision. There's never somebody who's wrong. I think it's just sometimes people bring something different out,
Or
something
somebody's just a
unexpected.
little bit more right.
Yeah, and sometimes it's even like a hard thing to place your finger on. Like both people in the chemistry read could be excellent actors, and sometimes it's just a matter of like who's the right fit in this group of people.
And then there's still, of course, the risk. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry,
Oh
Ellie.
no, just quickly to say, just
Yeah.
the upside, the plus side of this is to Morgan's credit. I think that when we stepped on set and because the film takes place around a dining room table, I remember looking around and seeing everybody and seeing the food and being like, oh my God, I really feel like I'm at a family dinner. Like it just completely snapped in. And I think that the chemistry was so there with all of us, and it was amazing. And I think that yeah, it just really felt like real life in many ways.
It's the basically how many minutes is this short film? Like
10 minutes.
Yeah, that's, by the way, film festivals love that, right? They love that 10-minute film. You're definitely going to get this film into some great festivals because it's 10 minutes. I was invited to do a Q&A not long ago for a half-hour short, and I just thought, oh, this is going to have problems. I could see it. This film, yours, but just I think your programmers are going to just love that. But how much of it is the script or the script as actors, and how much of it is the vibe, the chemistry, as you talked about it before, what's in between the lines, like as you
Yeah, absolutely.
work together and the synergy.
Yeah, so it was pretty scripted.
Sure, no, and I'm not getting at like improvisation at all.
Okay.
I'm really getting at is like when you're working with such a short film and it's all about this one scene, right? And it's primarily at the dinner table, and how much of it is, like for people they just figure, oh, you memorize your lines and you act, but there's a lot going on that has right when you're not talking, for instance, as one thing. you know? So I don't know, like,
Yeah.
and that can happen during maybe rehearsing or table reads or what have you. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's always a combination. I mean, there's always a certain degree that's scripted, and then there's always a certain degree that is filled in by the actors who just breathe life into the characters. I think,
Mhm.
especially when you're sitting at a dinner table, when everyone's seated, for me, like my biggest fear is like people are going to be seated and do nothing. But also, but we're at a dinner table, so there's naturally things to do. There's food to pick up. There's, you're sitting next to each other. The dynamics change depending on who you're sitting next to. So I think that a fair degree was scripted, but also, actors like Scott and Ellie come in and they just bring so much life and they bring so much energy and subtle details into the film that I could have never scripted. And I think that's just the mark of a great actor. So I don't know, Scott, Ellie, do you guys want to
I just
speak to
think
that?
I think what's important is that a camera catches what's going on. So I mean, I think
Oh.
your DP becomes phenomenally important, and
Mm.
especially in a dinner scene, where all kinds of things can happen, and you want all kinds of things to be caught. Because you're not quite sure where you might want to cut something or edit something, and kind of put two things together. And I think what ends up happening is that, and again, especially in a scene like this. All kinds of things can kind of change, and the dynamic between characters will change, and that's because somebody's doing something to somebody else. Or I remember I sat next to Ellie, and it was just like a volcano of interesting things that were going on that I didn't want to pay attention to, but I had to pay attention to,
Yeah.
and I pay attention to everybody else. But there was this life that was going on that right next to me that felt like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it was brilliant. So it was like, so that kind of stuff really, but a camera has to see that in some way. And not just on your close up, on wider shots, on 2 shots, on 3 shots, so you're constantly doing stuff, in a scene like that, which I think dinner scenes on the whole suck. They're not they're not the easiest scenes to shoot. They're so difficult to shoot. So yeah, it was fun that way.
Yeah, I think it was really important to make sure that we're getting enough shots of people who are not speaking.
Right.
Like even,
Yeah.
even if somebody's speaking, make sure that we're getting everybody else's reactions and what are
Yeah.
they doing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because reactions and whatever or non-reactions are all valid, like, parts of a dynamic that's taking place, and I want to get to the topic because having lost both of my parents in the last few years, you know, um, it does, fortunately for my sister and myself, we get along pretty well. But I've seen so many occasions where, and this isn't even the loss of the parents yet, but it's the discussion about that's anxiety, right? Because the moment all these things come up, it's already affecting the dynamic of the family. And so a lot of people can relate to that. So and I think that's one of the appeals of the film, um, that it kind of confronts some of that very, very honestly, I've seen it like the moment the parents are gone, the siblings, um, they lose that anchor or something, and so you can kind of smell that happen. Anyway, I didn't know like if that was part of what you experienced, Morgan, when as you described it at the beginning, when you were not considered to be an executor of.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully my parents are both still alive and I'm sorry to hear about yours.
Yeah.
I think that most stories about wills are about what happens when the people are gone. And I think what's interesting about this story is that it's confronting those dynamics when everybody's still alive. And not only still alive, everyone's at the table. And so it's just getting like right to the heart, or digging the knife into what those family dynamics are and how people actually perceive each other when everybody's right there. And what does that look like? And how does that make you feel?
Ellie, do you have any experience in this personally? I mean, maybe that's not appropriate to ask.
No, I don't, but I think that the thing I just was kind of like reflecting as you guys were speaking, and I think that like one of the real sort of like incredible strengths of like the script especially is you really get an insight into this family where when we're sort of discussing this will, like everybody's kind of impulse is to kind of like fight and bicker, and that feels like a almost like an easier way to channel this, because there's an elephant in the room, right? Like we're talking about death by talking about this will. And so I think that there's this kind of like desire for the family to channel all of this energy that's scary, and the way that it comes out is through bickering, which is so brilliant. And it's just such like an interesting window into like how a family would really deal with this. And I always thought that was such an interesting choice, because I think that like in my life, if like it was, me and my dad like talking about his will, I'd be a rat. I'd be like crying, or maybe I'd be shouting with him. I don't know. But I think it's such an interesting choice, and I think it really speaks volumes about the family. And it was just, I don't know, I always thought it was a really neat thing that Morgan did.
We should mention this is a comedy, by the way.
Yes,
So,
it's very funny.
This is
no,
this
I
is a
mean,
comedy. Yeah.
and
Yeah, death is
because
funny.
of course, and but the family tensions, I mean, your family is hysterical to most anybody else that's maybe, that is not you, I think often, um, let me just also clarify. So it played at Tribeca. That was a very nice way to premiere the film. Good choice there, Morgan. You should.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Um, and where has it had any other festivals? We mentioned Berkshire's, obviously, but I didn't know if it
Yeah.
was, and if it's still out in festivals or.
Yeah, so we have done a full year festival run,
Okay.
which is more than
Okay.
I could have ever expected for a short. So we've screened at over 25 festivals, five of which were Oscar qualifying.
Well,
We probably had around like 40 to 45 screenings in the last year. It's pretty incredible run. We have a couple more, and then we're going to be pursuing a Oscar awards run for best live action short. So that's going to be the next step for
mhm.
this journey.
Yeah. I should know the answer to this because I actually work also on the side. One of my gigs is working with the Woodstock Film Festival. I don't know. Did it play there?
We did not screen
Oh,
there.
okay.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But
Because
I've
it
heard it's
is an
great.
thing. It's an Oscar qualifier. That's why, But I think a quality short, it becomes to me, it's not surprising that you were in so many festivals because I almost think with a good quality short film, as like Fire at Will, with a great cast and whatnot, that you it comes down to almost you're choosing where to put it, not because film festivals love shorts. I mean, they, especially again a nice short because um it's just a way for them to make fees and you know just, and also on the less cynical side to help to uh not foster, what am I trying to say, just support young filmmakers and to create a kind of a community, so bring them back when they maybe have their first feature, create a relationship. So it's not surprising to me that you got into so many. In fact, you probably could have gotten into 50 or 75. I don't doubt, but so you're winding that down is the answer, right?
We're winding that down. I mean, yeah, there's only so many, once you hit the year mark, there's sort of a
Yeah,
limit on you start to get to the same festival that you played at a year ago. So,
sure.
yeah, but I think this film has had a much longer journey than I could have anticipated, which is amazing. And I think what people have really resonated with is that it's a film about, it's about a dysfunctional family. It's about a will, and confronting sibling dynamics. But I think what's really stuck with people is that, there's this one character, Maggie, who is the artist of the family, and she gets passed over, sidelined for, to be considered as part of the executor because she's the artist. And I think what's interesting is like this idea that being a creative person inherently makes you somehow less serious or less responsible,
Right.
or less qualified to deal with hard things, and or at least in the eyes of your family. And I think that there's something that has really resonated with people, especially across the film festival circuit, when you're gathering a bunch of artists in one place. And I'm sure that we've all had this experience in some way or another of like proving your worth as an artist, and how are you treated when you are considered quote unquote successful versus when you're not. And and how, just like, how are you treated differently, and why is that? Why do we treat the arts as a less serious pursuit? So I think coming out of a year of this, those are the conversations that have really stuck with me, and I think is really like is the thing that sneaks up on you in the film. Yeah. Oh, Adam, I think you cut out for a sec.
I can't hear you.
I was just testing you. Very well done. I'm glad.
Perfect.
There's a mute button on this thing, it turns out.
Who knew?
A lot of people would like to use it on me, no doubt. Scott, can I ask you, because you're the kind of a veteran actor at this stage, is that safe to say? It's seasoned. You've done a lot of episodic work, film work, obviously, and I think even theater up here. I'm sure elsewhere as
I've
well.
never done any theater up here.
Not up here. Okay, maybe I'm just imagining.
I'm in the process of deciding whether I'm going to do a play in Ankrum, actually.
Oh, I think I know the theater company. I think I know that theater company. Was it called the Ankrum Opera Theater Company, and then they changed it to the Ankrum
Opera. Yeah.
Yeah, they did sidebar a little advertising at some point with our radio station in the
Okay.
past. So, but a very, very impressive place. I hope you do it, or I hope it works out the way you want it to. But I'm just like, what is what's your motive for just continuing to do like a short film?
I would say that I have found that my interests are always pretty clear in relationship to content, and so I love to choose things that I just get interested in, and there's lots of factors in why I would be interested in them. I mean, this film came up, and I knew that Ellie was in it, and I was a huge fan of Proof of Concept, and I didn't know Ellie, but I was just like, I have to work with this woman. It's like I have to do this.
And we worked again together after Fire at
Yeah.
Will. I cast Scott in this digital comedy series that I did because we had so much fun working together, and because we met on Morgan's movie. And that's
Well, can you just not to interrupt Scott, but we'll come back. I want you to hear about that too.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it was the quality of and just the opportunity to work.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't know Morgan, so I really had nothing kind of to go off of there. I kind of looked her up a little bit, but read the script and thought the script was great. I think Amy was attached before me, right? So Amy Stiller was attached, and I knew Amy, so that was kind of interesting. And so it's and shorts. I mean, I just to kind of like go back to what you were saying before. For me, I love shorts. I think shorts are an incredible way for people to express themselves, and for much less money than making a feature, and
Right.
for how to be poetic in a certain amount of time. And I think they are great exercises, and sometimes like Morgan's film, they come out and people talk about them for a very, very long time. And so that really interests me, and it interests me to be able to be able to work with younger directors and younger writers that are doing things that people my age are not necessarily doing, and because they've either moved on or because they just don't have the patience for it, or they have nothing to say anymore. So that's part of it too. So that interests me, but I also just want to say that it's important that people understand that whoever might be listening to this, if they are up and coming filmmakers or young people who want to make films, that the length of time should not bother them. Because film festivals love shorts for two reasons. One is because the submission, how much it costs to submit is a lot of money, and they make a lot of money that way. And then the more shorts they could put into their festival, the more money they can make. And it's great. It's fantastic. But if somebody wants to make a half-hour short, make a half-hour short. I mean, it's not a short, it's a film, and it's a half an hour. There's no time.
Right. Well, the story has
time on a film. What?
Right.
Yeah. So because I just don't want people to feel like, oh, I have to make a 5-minute short, I have to make a 10-minute short. You make something that appeals to you. And if it speaks to you, then that's what it is. And that's important.
Well said. I agree. Filmmakers should make a film organically, as long as the story is, I mean, but they should also know the challenges, that come along with it, or potential challenges. Hopefully, like, I don't care, like, if I'm watching a film and I see a half-hour film and it knocks me off my feed, I'm going to really champion it and really push hard for that film. Regardless of if it makes it a little difficult for the programmer to fit it into, or this, who's ever scheduling. So,
wasn't it Wes Anderson who did he win 2 years ago? He did a half hour.
I'm pretty sure he won. Yeah, a couple years ago.
It was a half hour short that cost like $3-4 million, whatever.
It's a recent short he made.
Yeah.
Well, did he put his name on the film?
Yes, he did.
That helped.
Yeah, probably helped a little bit.
I think Scott's advice is, if you're making a 30-minute short, put Wes Anderson's name on it.
Yeah, be Wes Anderson.
Exactly.
I think that's what you. Yeah. Okay, Ellie, I want to hear also, before I know where this is all about fire. Well, true, but tangentially, we can also discuss something exciting that two of you here today have worked on. And so, this is a digital series you mentioned.
Yes, it's a very fun digital series that I co-created with Max Cohen, who I did proof of concept with, the short that we keep talking about. And it's a very fun digital comedy series. It's called Ad World. Scott plays the head of this sort of flailing ad agency. I play this sort of really like ineffectual, weird HR lady. And it's just a lot of fun. We have Kareem Rama from Subway Takes. We have some good people on it. And yeah, it would have never happened had I not, met Scott on Fire at Will. And we just I was like, whoa, this guy's so awesome. He'd be so great in our show. And so that's, yeah.
Well, I expect you to send me a link to
send you a link.
But Morgan, I'm going to ask you now, was this ever anything but a short in your mind? Was there ever, as we know, another use of, or another sort of potential opportunity that a short gives you is an opportunity to make maybe a more elaborate version, or some people call it a feature. I don't know, but I mean, I don't know if that was ever came to mind.
Yeah, I mean, this was written originally just as a short film. As we've gone through the festival route and I've realized that it's resonated with people, I've been exploring what that could look like on a longer scale. And I think there's a lot of different versions of this story in a longer scale that I would love to tell at some point, that focus on different parts of it. So yeah, that is something that I'm exploring right now, is what does that look like in a feature length version, on a proper feature scale. But that is still in progress.
She just directed another short, someone else's short.
I did just direct another short. I directed 2 more shorts this year.
But these are
unrelated to Fire at Will. No, we're still in post-production, so there's probably not too much I can say. But
but were they for hire, or they were your film, like you wrote them?
One of them I wrote, and one of them was written by the actress who played Maggie in Fire at Will, Rebecca Geaver. And I came on board as director. But yeah, I mean, I think as Scott said, before, talking about shorts versus features, I just love making things. I just want to be continually making things, no matter how long the project is, what the scale is. It's so much fun to be on set. It's so much fun to work with people who are incredible at their craft. It's just like my favorite part of making a film is getting to be on set. And I'm just constantly in pursuit of that. and like that energy that you find only when everyone's coming together with the same goals. So
Amen.
I just want to be making things all the time. Yeah.
Wow, that's very optimistic. Thank you for that. Just what we need. Just what we need now. Making great things.
Well, it's fun. I mean,
I like that. It's
film is such a hard, it can be such a hard process. And when you're in the writing stages, it can be quite
yeah.
a lonely process. And the
Mhm.
parts that really just make it worth it for me is like the stages when you get to work with people. That's really it. I just want to like be out of my head and in my body and just like so immersed that I can't even think about checking my phone, you know? I think it's when you're making a film, especially when you're on set, it's so all consuming. It uses every part of your brain and your body, and I just find that invigorating.
That's lovely.
And there's
It's not.
I think of this, it's sort of, oh, sorry, Scott,
Go
you go.
ahead, go.
Okay, I'll be quick. To Morgan's point about, we were all sort of smiling because I think all three of us really do feel that way. And I think that this film especially, but all movies in general, I'm reminded of the Mike Nichols quote, and I'm definitely going to misquote it, but it's kind of like, we make movies to live other lives. He said something like that. It's definitely not that. I'm doing it wrong, but just sort of like the ability to like step into another story, into another life. And that's kind of the best thing because it is so 360. You're so encompassed in the story that it starts to feel like real life, and it's just so much fun.
Thank you. Yeah. What were you going to say, Scott?
I was just going to say that it, I, you know, I as a veteran actor, and that the two of these women have such poise on set that the ability um, to have that aspiration of wanting to do this type of work and understanding that you're learning as you're going and but to be poised as you're doing that and to not affect everybody else that you're, whether it be neuroses or whether it be fear or whatever it be, they both don't display that, and it makes you feel very I felt in both situations that Ellie's thing and Morgan's thing, just safe and
Yeah.
calm
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
and
Vulnerable. You can be vulnerable.
yeah,
Yeah.
and able to be free and able to
Hmm.
be and that which is ultra important too. So I applaud them both for that. It's for they're young and they're very knowing, and it's quite remarkable.
Thanks, Scott. Well, I'll turn that back around and say we were so lucky to have you on set because I felt like Scott Cohen walked on set and everyone just like sat up a little bit straighter.
Big time.
And I think that you challenged everybody in a really great way, Scott. I tell every project I work on, I tell the crew and the cast that I like to work really collaboratively. And I mean it. I don't like believe in this idea that a director knows everything. And I want everybody's input. And I think that's what makes a film strong. But Scott had input, and I will say at first it scared me a little bit. I was a little bit intimidated, Scott, when we first started working together. But it like you question things in a way that forced me to think about things on a much deeper level, and really make sure that like every choice was extremely intentional. And you were so in tune on set, just even like continuity, right? Things like at a dinner table scene, we're always eating, like the food's changing, like which hand did you pick up your glass with? Like Scott was just so in tune with every single piece of the puzzle and where the camera was at all times. And I just think he really challenged everybody in a way that really strengthened the film. So I thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, we were lucky to have you.
Thank you. Sweet. I'm a veteran actor.
You're a veteran actor.
Either
I
that went
do
over really
remember.
well. Go ahead.
No, what'd you say, Adam?
Oh, I was just gonna say either that remark went over very well uh or I pushed a button. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that what I think, it's funny because the older I get, the I find that it's easier for me to be with younger people and not as a way of like, oh, I know stuff and they don't, but it's the energy that exists on a set. It's I find it so inspiring. I mean, because the ideas that come out of people that are, I mean, the actors on Fire at Will that were not just they. I mean, what's his name? Luke, right?
Lucas
Lucas and
Zelnick.
Lucas and Julia and
Yeah, Julia DeCesare.
yeah, and I mean they're not actors. They did not grow up as actors, and you're like, but and so their vibe, their energy, it's like it's so alive. I mean, it's wonderful to be around. I mean, I find it like I'd rather do a first time director feature than because every older people just like this is what you do, this is what they want, this is like you don't have that much conversation maybe. I mean, I just did one like that, so it's like it's just I just find it fun. It's great.
Yeah, I think there's this energy when you're still building your voice and building your
Yeah.
portfolio is like we're not clocking in and clocking out. We're here to make something that we all care about and feel passionate about. And, hopefully if enough people feel passionate about it behind the camera, that translates. And
Yeah.
I like to think that does. So, yeah.
Well, thank you all for devoting some time to this conversation today and starting my day off so nicely it's very very I don't know, it's a cathartic kind of doing something like this where it's really all about the work and about doing something creative and it's for the sake of creating. That's great.
Thanks for
So
having
thank
us.
you
Thank
all.
you. Thank you, Adam. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right. Have and hopefully soon we can like allow some people can see Fire at Will.
Yeah, stay tuned. So
In their
we
homes
have
and
an
stuff.
Instagram. Yeah, we have an Instagram where the page will be updated. It's fire@will_film
Thank
if
you.
you're
Yeah.
interested in staying up to date. And we will be sharing more soon on our awards journey pursuit and as well as an online release so people can stay up to date with that.
Cool.
Excellent. Well done. All right, everybody. Thank you again. And I hope, Ellie, hope we can have you back on yet again and again.
Be
And
great.
Scott under other projects. And thank you all.
Thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Thank
Good
you,
seeing
Adam.
Wonderful
Good
seeing
seeing you guys.
You
I
too,
know.
Yeah, so
It's
fun.
nice to see you.
Okay, bye guys.
All right.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
All right. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one, man.
Adam. You
My
too.
pleasure.
Appreciate
Glad
it.
it worked out. Thanks for reaching out.
Me too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.